Dropping in. I hope that everything is going well. I'm stopping in now. It's been a very busy day, but I wanted to share something with you that I thought is thought provoking at the very least, and in some ways empowering. While this is focused on the sisters, there's something here for everyone, and it's a review of David Banner's single "Marry Me" on his latest project. Um, there's some things I want to cover on it, and so I'm going to talk about it from a number of different perspectives. This is again something that's heavily focused on David's perspective about where we are in love and how we handle our women, how our women feel about our men. And it's sort of important because today is the day that we have a meeting here in Houston called Where Men Hurt, where we all meet at a pretty nice, well-known barbershop, and it's all black men, and we talk about things that we don't get the space to talk about or admit to dealing with in society. It's one of the few places where black men have this space. So there's this myth that's being propagandized and pushed that a whole black man doesn't exist, that a loving black man doesn't exist, that a black man that is willing to stand up, love, and defend our black women doesn't exist, that a black man who loves dark-skinned black women doesn't exist. And David addresses this not just in this music, but in his evolution. When for those of us who are old enough, when the name David Banner pops up, the first thing that comes to mind is Like a Pimp. The song that made him famous coming out of Mississippi. Some of us have gotten to know David Banner, the attorney, the U.S. attorney. Some of us have gotten to know David Banner, the activist, and the evolution of a man is important because we come out of something from something, but we come out of something from something to become something. And that's my thing when I'm talking to black men. I'm talking about becoming. See, people will have you be or to sit in a space that they have placed you in and pushed you in and erected for you. But it's up to you to become what you were designed to become, what your potential demands of you. And in this, David says that while the song was for all women, it was specifically for dark-skinned black women, and it was the answer to, and the way the words go, it's not a un somewhat, it's not this thing you would think that's okay, it's about a black man proposing to a black woman. It's about a black man telling all black women you're loved, and you're loved at a death, and this is how you're loved. And David admits that he believes we're in a time, and you've heard me say this so many times, uh, that he believes that we are in a place where black women not only don't feel loved, they don't feel safe. And this is in the presence of black men. And in many instances, they are fearful of black men. And this isn't the time for finger pointing. This isn't the time to sit around and talk about who failed, because we all have culpability. This is the time to talk about how do we fix it. And what David highlights, and I think he did this purposefully, because I think he's aware enough to understand what goes on, and I think he did it purposefully, is that we don't have the love for one another in our songs anymore. The people who are getting on in music now are those who deride black women and uh, present a very marred and fallible image for black men. You know, Molly's and Percocets and banging this and shooting that. And not to say that, you know, the braggadocious and chest beating hasn't always been a part of rap. Being a man comes with a certain level of I'm that dude type of uh, voice. And I'm a believer that if you don't feel that way about yourself, you're going to be easily manipulated, easily intimidated, easily pushed in directions you may not necessarily want to go. There has to be something on the inside of you that stands up and says, I am. And you know who you are, and you are good with who you are, and you are setting the path for your growth. You're setting the path for your elevation. You understand how this thing works. And before I get too far, don't forget, we definitely need your support. I don't even know if anybody's actually in on this because we are on this new channel. It's not that many people in. We're hoping to get the channel moving. We're going to do some name changes on the channel to reflect the primary focus of the channel. We still have not gotten um, we still have not gotten um, the original channel back up and running, but we have not given up on that. So I just wanted to say that we need your support. Uh, the information and instructions on how you can support the work we're doing is always going to be at the top of the description box on every video that we post concerning the Black community. So I want to encourage you to continue to support the work that we're doing. It's so important that we stay relevant in the community, that we stay active in the community, that we consistently seek solutions to the enigmatic issues that we face in the community. And now on to this song. The song is I've checked it out a few times. It's a real simple song. It's not heavily laced in lyric, but it's real direct. You know, it addresses the fact that there's an idea that a true, strong, powerful black man is an urban myth, and it addresses no that we truly exist. That there are black men who handle their business. There are black men who love nothing but black women. There are black men that focus solely on being an influence in the black community. There are black men willing to stand up and speak truth to power and put targets on their back. There are black men who are willing to step in where so many other black men are missing, whether they be incarcerated, whether they be lost in the drug game, whether they just be totally out of it. And there's a lot of that going on. And we're going to address a lot of this as we move through this week. But what David wants to do here is approach not just loving a black woman, but the importance of the creation and the restoration and the rebuilding of the black family, something that Marion and I have been talking about for years. It is so important to understand it. See, a people rises and moves and operates based on the level and standard of their values, their interests, and their principles. There is a value system associated with group, culture, and there is a set of interests that must be observed, understood, and everyone must be aware of these interests, and these interests must be served and protected. And then these principles will govern the behavior of individuals on a individual and collective level. And what we fail to realize is that the family is the institution through which these values, interests, and principles are socialized into the psyche of young black children until they are inculcated at a depth that they become a natural understanding governing a natural behavior that cannot easily be shifted. And so when there were efforts to disrupt the black family, and it was purposefully, and it was actually done under a Democratic administration in the mid 1960s. The Johnson administration, despite the warnings by Daniel Patrick Moynihan in his paper that's been become affectionately known as the Moynihan Report, was actually entitled The Negro Family, A Case for National Action. And Moynihan warned about the ostracization of the black man from the family, warned about interfering in the black family by introducing social programs that alienated the man and uh, seemingly empowered the woman, warned about programs that would give footing in academia to black women while still alienating black men. All of programs that eventually were implemented despite the warning. It was Moynihan's suggestion that instead of creating welfare, food stamps, and all of the other things that we were going to use to subsidize impoverished black families, that we should take those millions of dollars and create government jobs for black men, hire black men, and let black men take care of their families. But that was uh, pushed to the side, and there was a reason for that. See, the black family as a whole stood as a standard. We got to understand, before the disruption of the black family, there were two things happening simultaneously. There was an attack on the black family, and there was a simultaneous push by the civil rights movement to integrate. And those two worked actually to the detriment of the black family. It worked to the detriment of the empowerment of the black people, because without the black family, there's no institution through which you can inculcate the proper values, interests, and principles. See, it's difficult talking to a 27, a 28-year-old, a 30-year-old, 40-year-old about the importance of black group economics. Why? Because it's been an individualized mindset from day one. Nobody, most of them, it was just me and my mom, and we didn't have. So the moment I got something, I went and bought something, but you're not spending responsibly. You're not spending for the purpose of the empowerment of the group. You're only thinking about yourself. That's the same reason when someone gets a new contract and becomes a millionaire, because they run fast, jump high, shoot well, that it's all about me and taking care of mama. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You've been through some things, there's nothing wrong. Take care of your mom, but you've got to be smart, because 69 to 73% of the athletes that turn pro and gain wealth go broke within the first 3 to 5 years of retirement, of leaving the league, and they leave the league at a very early age. So what we must understand is we need to be teaching the values and the interests principles of building wealth, not trying to change the minds of adults who are consumer minded by nature. We should be teaching it in the family. Why? Because that's when a child, from the age of birth to the age of 5 to 7, children are in a state of theta. Theta is a state where they are absorbing information, determining how the world works, setting the standards, the norms and standards of how they're going to operate in this world. What is acceptable? What's not acceptable? What is expected of me? How do I fit into the world? And all of this is happening between the ages of 5 and 7. Here's the problem. And David mentions this in his interview, that no matter how functional the mother is in the home, there are going to be some gaps in energy, gaps in modeling. And we learn through social learning theory says that we learn by observing, by experiencing, by emulating. When a young boy is growing into manhood, there are some things that he emulates that his dad does, that he just naturally sees his dad does and want to do. That's why you see little boys running around hammering on stuff. That's why you see little boys running around doing whatever. A little boy learns to pee standing up by watching dad. And all of a sudden he decides, I don't want to sit on the potty anymore. I want to stand up. And that's a messy time in life, but it's a part of the process. And even that is interrupted when the man isn't in the house. And so then, and it's the flip side. Nobody's more important than the other person. We've been pitted against one another to the point that it's all about proving our value and proving our worth at the expense of the other person, when the truth of the matter is the family is designed to have a certain amount of feminine energy, a certain amount of masculine energy, and roles that hold together and create this solid model in which you can rear children, and they are whole, they are protected, they are prepared. See, the term education has been diluted, it's been weakened, it's been misrepresented. True education is the preparation and empowerment of a child to grow up as an adult who is prepared to go out into a world that is inherently hostile towards them, and not only compete but win. Be prepared to manage themselves financially. Be prepared to manage themselves socially. Be prepared to create their own way in the sense of a career. Be prepared to stand up against things that don't serve them and what they care about. Be aware of what it is that you are truly caring about. All of this is supposed to be taught in the home. And see, so when David is talking about marry me, he's not just talking about the sense of intimacy and love between the male and the female. He's talking about the beginnings of creating something that we can sit up and we can bring up children in. He's talking about creating something that provides a safe space. Because see, we have a problem now that we don't like to talk about, and that is that not only are our women not safe, our children are not safe. Every time I look up, I'm being called about some baby that's been either harmed or killed by a significant other of the parent. Predominantly, it's a male harming the children of a female, and it's at an epidemic. It has reached epidemic proportions. So what am I saying? I'm saying that we are losing it, and the question is, well, where are the fathers? And that's a good question. There's a lot going on, and we don't have time to cover it all. And I don't want this to be about finger pointing. There is some culpability to be passed around. Uh, when I speak to the guys tonight, I'm going to be talking about responsibility, but I'm going to tell you some of the things that these men share is outright crazy. Because see, we're not allowed to say we're hurt. We're not allowed to say we're scared. We're not allowed to say we're feeling inadequate without being asked why and told to man up. No one's looking at how this has been purposefully orchestrated to emasculate the black man, make him feel hopeless, make him feel angry. And we're not looking at how it plays out. Am I making an excuse for the horrible BS that I see going on? Absolutely not. I am a part of a group that if I catch you harming women or black children, me and you will have the type of problem where one of us won't have to worry about it anymore. It's that simple. We are not going to stand around and allow women to be harmed. But we also can't sit up and say, it's just stupid and not realize where it's coming from. See, it's coming from years and years of failures in multiple ways. And what David is talking about, think about it. What music is out there that's conditioning the black male mind to stand up and be responsible? What type of stimuli in media is challenging the black male to aspire to something great outside of being a dope dealer, an athlete, or an entertainer? What is out there that says that the black man has a place, a responsibility, and that he's special, that he's extraordinary, that he's remarkable, that he's exceptional? And that comes and that starts early, but it is something that's created. That's what we do with the Black Man Lead Rite of Passage Initiative, is that we teach young black males who they are, racial socialization. We prepare them to be functional. We prepare them to be powerful. We prepare them to be prepared to take on anything out there. We let them understand and know that no matter what the world says, you're loved, you're needed, you have a place. Without you, things don't move the same. I've said this so many times that we will only get as high as our women lift us spiritually, and we're only going to get as far as our men lead us physically. And that's so important that we understand that. It's absolutely important that we understand exactly how important we are. But that starts in socializing, the proper socialization. So much of violence on the heels and shoulders of people like Dr. Joy DeGrasse, Dr. Howard Stevenson, who's put a lot of work in on studying violence in the Black community. I initiated some studies some years ago in understanding African American adolescent and young adult male violence in the Black community. And what we know is that the lack of proper socialization has a massive impact on the proclivity towards violence. We can predict violence in young Black men when we're working with them. We can predict them because there's literally a scale that was created by Dr. DeGry that can be used. But we can sit up now and be aware of what's going to set a kid off. The number one thing that will drive a kid to violence is feeling disrespected. Now tell me what Black man at some point, Black male, doesn't feel disrespected. So we have to teach young Black males how to handle disrespect, how to define true respect. See, somebody doesn't have to fear you to respect you. Fear isn't respect. Somebody cowering because you walk in a room isn't respect. Respect comes from the way that you handle yourself, handle your business, and carry yourself in the midst of adversity. Respect is the fact that no, you will not allow yourself to be run over. You will not be a pushover. You will not allow people to use you as a doormat. But you will not wrongfully harm someone. You will defend Black women. And to me, when I teach my young boys at the Black Men Lead Rite of Passage initiative, when I teach them, when I teach my mentors, which are the guys from 25 to 39, I think Mike's 38. When I teach them, it's about, hey, look, we are protectors first. See, we've been commodified and we don't even get it. That when the government said, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you subsidized housing, we're going to give you subsidized food program, we're going to give you subsidized income, we're going to give you this, but he can't be in the house. Now, what happened is at that moment, the Black man became commodified. The Black man was commodified at that moment because the Black woman no longer needed the Black man for anything, or so she thought. He became commodified, meaning that if you can't do better for me than what the government is doing, what do I need you for? See, we lost fact that the Black man was more than just the breadwinner. The Black man was the disciplinarian. The Black man was the protector. The Black man was the voice. When you go back and you look at Good Times, and there's so many things I can say about this show, good and bad. When you look at it, the strength came through the Black man. The safety came through the Black man. No matter how bad things got, when the Black man said, we're going to be okay, we're going to make it, it brought some calm to the household. Now, I'm not one for eternal suffering and eternal struggles and any of that. That's Marion. Sorry, y'all. It's kind of important. But anyway, what when you commodify the man, he's brought down to a dollar amount, and we lose sight of the importance of the male role in the home outside of that. And I tell all of my guys, the young kids and the mentors I've mentored that are now working with the young guys, I tell them all the time, you're a protector before you're a provider. I know that anything that makes you feel important right now is tied to a dollar amount because that's all you're seeing for. If you don't have the right dollar amount in your bank account, nobody's even looking at you. But see, that's because they don't understand the power that's there. See, there's a genius in you. There's something special about your melanated presence that goes beyond what's in the bank account. Because see, here's the thing I know. Here's what I can tell you, that if a Black man has a desire to provide, if a Black man has a desire to rise up, if the Black man has a desire to be a force in his family and a force in the economy, no matter where he is now, he'll get there. He'll get there. He may be bouncing around trying to figure it all out, but if you give him something that he can look at and say, I gotta do it for, and it's more than just him. See, I did it for me, but I tell you, there's a whole different level of why I wake up every morning at 4:30 because of my wife and our children. I'm telling you that those moments when I'm getting the crap kicked out of me, in so many different ways, life is coming at me. I wake up and I shake it off because I got to do it for my wife. And it's not simply the money. It's letting her see me never fold. It's me never letting her see me sweat. And it doesn't mean that I don't have moments and she isn't aware of them. She just never gets them dumped on her. That's why I have male friends that I can go to, people I can talk to, because she is not meant to carry that load. Not that she wouldn't stand up with me, but I promised her I would cover her. I promised her I would protect her. I promised her that I would love her. And it's not me pretending something. She knows when something's wrong with me. I'll just tell her, it's okay, I got it. And she knows. And she knows when I tell her it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. She knows when I say, we got it, we got it. And that's what I do. I find a way to deliver. It ain't always easy, but see, that comes from the fact that I grew up with a man in the house that did the same thing. He never lost his cool. So when she, and my wife will tell you, one of the things that she just really, really digs about me is the fact that I'm never shaken and I'm always calm. And she'll come and she gets kind of frantic, and I'm like, we good. Just calm down. Even when she gets crazy and gets to going at me, I'm like, hey, look, we're not going here. We're not going here. I love you. And we'll talk about it later. It's about the way you handle her. See, I promised I would love her back to life. I promised I would love her through everything she needed to do to get to where she needed to be. I promised I would be that person. But see, I had to have somebody who set that example. Manhood has to be modeled. That's why I tell people all the time. While you can sit up and bring up ladies, while you can sit up and bring up a highly functional guy who will do well in the workforce, who will go out, get a nice family and go out and do well, there's certain things you just can't give him. And it'll show up in life in the way that his wife, he handles his wife or his wife handles him. And in the inability to step forward and do the things that men need to do, even when it's not good or comfortable, that comes from seeing it modeled. You can tell him what you want him to be, but you can't show him. And he's going to miss it. If he can't see it, he can't know how it looks when he does it. See, I can explain to any person that's never shot a free throw and never seen a free throw shot. I can explain it to them, the entire stroke, the entire technique, the entire how high the elbow needs to be raised, about the follow through, about everything that's going to give it the proper arc, the proper reach, and the proper feel. And they can kind of look through and say, okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. But if they never seen it, something's missing, and they won't know. Even if they're doing it right, they won't know, because they won't know they have to have something to measure it against. And so you got to have proper whole manhood modeled in front of them for them to know that they are practicing whole manhood. So you got a bunch of broken men out here that's been broken from day one. A bunch of them that think they're functional. That's why you got some very fluid, financially fluid black men killing black women. They learned how to make money and earn a living, but they don't know how to handle rejection. They don't know how to handle frustration. They don't know how to handle the darkness and deepness of depression, because they never saw a man do it. We've got a problem and we need to deal with it. And I absolutely love the fact that David Banner is using music, because music is one of the things that has poisoned black culture. It used to be the life vein of black culture and black empowerment. The music spoke to our current situations and what we needed to do. There was Marvin Gaye in that era. And there was so much going on with the 80s, and then it started to change toward the end of the 80s, and we started to get this where we're going to turn them against each other. We're going to pay them to talk about drugs. We're going to pay them to talk about disrespecting women and hitting this and fucking that, and all this. Then we're gonna get the women to do videos, and we're gonna show them how to drop it, shake it, pop it, and all that. My whole thing is, I don't have a problem with a woman dancing. I think black women just, and there's something about what we are. We are pure energy. We are the closest thing there is to the purest part of the spirit nature. We're the closest thing to God. That some of us you talk to believe that we are God, and I'm talking about from the spiritual nature. When you study the universe, the universe is made of melanin. The very thing that gives us our color is actually something that is very powerful part of the spiritual element of the universe. When I talk about spirit, I'm talking about specifically talking about energy. When someone talks about spirit, it's not something mystic. It is the closest thing you can get to the merging of consciousness and energy. And that's what God is, consciousness and energy. And so when you talk about that, that's us. The pineal gland of Black people is a lot larger. And of course, they give us so many things that calcify the pineal gland that is nowhere near as functional as it should be, but still it's producing melanin, it's producing the ability to absorb spiritual energy, to project spiritual energy, and to create with spiritual energy. But we don't know how, because we've been told we're inferior. We've been told that our Blackness is a deficit. We've been told that we don't love each other and that we must compete against each other for the few crumbs that fall from the table. So we attack one another. We blame one another. We've lost sight that we were striking fear in them when we were standing together as a whole. In 1960, 75% of Black children were born into two-parent households. 75%. It's reversed today. The Black family is literally disintegrating. And the ability to properly educate and empower Black youth is disintegrating with it. We are trusting a white public school system to empower our children to compete against theirs. How foolish is that? With that being said, look, I'm going to get off of here. There's so much I could talk about. There's so much we can go on and talk about. Yes, we are. We are literally music. We are literally, I mean, think about it. Think about how many Black people are born with rhythm. I'm talking about babies just start walking. I got a little grandson right now. Just started walking maybe 4 months ago. He's about a year and 4 months. He started walking right at a year. Right before he was a year, he started walking. And so he walks good now. And when the music comes on, he's in it. Nobody has to tell him to do it. He feels it. And the energy changes. If you want to change his mood, put music on. And depending upon what you put on will dictate the energy. What am I saying? I'm trying to tell you that David is not just talking about a love song. David is saying we've got to get back to a point where, like the X-Clans and so many other groups back then, Poor Righteous Teachers and a Public Enemy and so many other groups. And I'm not just talking about the radical groups. I'm talking about even then the love songs. We don't talk about love in our songs anymore. Think about it. Anytime you're hearing something on the radio right now that has to do with some serious love, most of the time it's a few people that are current. And it's a lot of the old stuff. Oh, we're talking about flipping and slapping and shaking and poking and all that. But I'm talking about real serious, touching the soul of a person. I mean, some of the old songs that you just sitting up and talking about, man, he went there. That was cold. That was deep. None of that's happening. And we don't understand. There's nothing encouraging to encourage the kids. It's Miley's and Percocets and I'm a pop and whatever. I mean, it's so much crap. I don't even listen to it anymore. Literally, I don't even turn on the hip hop station in Houston anymore. And that used to be my joint. I mean, it's just to be on there, but it's just absolutely ridiculous where it is right now. I mean, there's absolutely nothing empowering. Nothing about. I mean, just think. Run DMC, Hard Times. Just talking about stuff. I mean, even when it was funny and all this stuff, that was something that you could get out of it. But it was uplifting. Everything is sucking the life out of our kids. Everything is pointing them towards their demise. Everything is having them feel that there's no hope. And it shows. We've got to do a better job of understanding how. I've told you this before. I said this the other day. We don't do enough study of causality. We don't do enough studying of causality. We look at the symptoms, we look at the problems, we look at what we're going through. We whine, we complain, we point fingers. We never look at causality. Causality is where healing takes place. See, if you find the cause, you address and deal with the cause, you don't have to worry about the symptoms. You get rid of the cause, the symptoms disappear. They've got us so focused on the symptoms, we never look at the cause. We never look at how we got where we at, what's going on, what caused it. And until we look at it, until we look at the fact that we're being propagandized into poor behavior, into a poor self-image, into a poor perception, until we look at the fact that we are being pushed and herded and educated into inferiority, that we're literally being told we're not as good as them. We are trying to integrate ourselves into a Eurocentric idea of what is without ever taking hold of an Afrocentric idea of who we are as a people. We don't understand that the power is not in integrating with them, but discovering who we are. And so I commend this brother. I hold him in high esteem. I've watched his own evolution, just as I have evolved. I'm not the person I was 20 years ago. Thank God. I'm definitely not the person I was 30 years ago. But I'm not the person that I want to be. Something my grandfather used to say all the time. I'm not the man that I should be, but I thank God I'm not the man that I used to be. And that's what every man needs to be. He needs to be at a place where he's growing. He needs to be at a place where he's evolving, where he's getting better. And I see that in David Banner. And like he said, the reason he grew his beard was he wanted young black males to see a successful black man with a beard. You know, because they have us thinking that if you have a beard, you're not professional. You're not clean cut. See, that's a European standard. That's a Eurocentric idea of what is. If you're not clean cut, if you got a beard, if you got braids, if you got dreads, you're not professional. No, that's a Eurocentric idea of what it is. I'm not from Europe. My greatness is not going to be identified by some Eurocentric or European standard. My greatness is going to be in finding myself in the pureness of my natural presence. And that's where we've got to do a better job, is teaching these young kids that they're not powerless, that they don't have to aspire to whiteness. That's why we get all these disparaging remarks about black women, because some of our young boys and young men have been conditioned to believe that there's something special about white women. And the truth of the matter is, you can't get anything more great, more awesome, more beautiful than a black woman. She's the mother of all things. It started with her. And if we don't get that, and no, I'm not a worshiper of black women. I am a lover of all things black. Because see, black men, we some beasts too. We're powerful. I mean, why do you think they fear us so much? Why do you think they fear us so much? I mean, our voice alone carries a vibration that's unique and special in this universe. Our voice can literally declare things and cause the universe to crumble and move in obedience to what we speak. We some bad people, but we've been told that we're weak. We've been redirected towards things that come with no power. We've been directed to fight over crumbs and declare war against one another, while we should be declaring war against those who have made us their enemy. On that note, I'm going to get off of here. But I wish all of you the best. I'm going to get back with you. I got to get ready to get over to this Where Men Hurt uh, uh, meeting for tonight. Uh, and you guys take care. We'll talk some more. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a lot to talk about after this meeting, but that'll probably have to wait till tomorrow. Don't forget, we need your support. If you haven't supported what we do, oh man, I'm trying to get out here, John ETA, and look at you gonna bring the turkey. See, that's the point. Because we don't understand how things work, because we don't look at it. Gentrification put white people in a black situation in which now they cannot stand the fact that the turkey hut is getting the success it can get. So that's one part of it. The other part is that the turkey hut brings a lot of black people over there, and the parking is not the best situation. So they got all these black people pulling up in these cars that, even though they've gentrified the area, they probably can't afford. Because if you're going to the turkey hut, you ain't scratching for money. It's that type of thing. But the and the thing is, the whole thing with the turkey hut, and like I said, I'm from the north side of Houston, but I spent a lot of time over there in that area, because I know a lot of people, from like not that far from there, like people in Sunnyside, South Park. And we used to meet over there at the cigar spot and a couple other places. Was it 42, 24, 42, 34, something like that? It's a little club right up the street. So I've been over there a lot. I mean, a whole lot. Not recently, but like I was over there maybe a couple of months ago. Uh, uh, Getting some Jamaican food right up. I mean, like literally spitting distance from Turkey Hut. And the thing is, we put ourselves in those situations when we don't understand how things work, when we don't see the signs of gentrification, when we don't invest, when we consistently spend as consumers, when we consistently uh, act without an agenda. We have no economic agenda. We have no social agenda. We have no educational agenda. We have no filial agenda, which means we have no agenda on how we're going to rebuild and restore the Black family. That's something that Marion and I are working on with great intensity. But outside of us and a few other people, David Banner, some other people who understand the importance of the Black family, there's no great agenda. I had the pleasure of a couple of years ago working with Dr. Clark and Joanne Anderson, Dr. Anderson and his wife, in putting kept together the Black codes and the blueprint for Black empowerment, which is on the site. You can go to the site and check it out, the Odyssey Project 21.top. And just scroll over the programs, and when it drops down, it'll say Blueprint 101, Code of Conduct. I actually had their input on that, which was like the crowning moment of my life. I have so much respect for our elders and our ancestors, but our elders, and Dr. Anderson is one of those, and he's come under fire a lot from certain people lately, which I don't approve of. No one's perfect. No one has all the answers. No one's going to get it. It's not for him to do. It's for him to do everything he can in the best. And he's been a soldier from day one. And so what we're supposed to do is take what he's given us and actually advance it. And we don't do that. We haven't advanced what Malcolm gave us. We haven't advanced what Marcus gave us. We haven't advanced even what Martin left us. We haven't advanced uh, what Carter G. Woodson presented to us. I've done the best I can with that. That's one of the areas of one of my areas of specialty that I've tried to do. But we failed. We haven't taken it because we have all the keys, and we won't sit down. We won't create think tanks. We won't create protocols that govern our behavior and responses to any type of situation. We have no protocols in place for gentrification of the Black community. We have no protocols in place when a Black man is gunned down by a police officer. We have no protocols in place when a young child goes missing in the Black community. We have no protocols in place when a resource officer mishandles a Black student in a public school. We simply have not sat down and made this a part of our priority, and it is showing, and it is reason why we're consistently targeted and oppressed, because we don't yet pose a threat, because we have no protocols. But yeah, I'm very aware of what's going on with the turkey leg hut. And my thing is, we have to stand with them. We have to give them the support that they need. We need to come together and actually sit down and determine what can be done as a community, as a society, as far as saying, not this one. Like, this is where we're going to start making our stand. And we have to be consistent and intentful about that, because just imagine, they have gentrified an area, come into the area, taken it over, and now want to run out black businesses. And it's up to us to stand up and to resist it. On that note, I'm going to get off of here for real this time, but I had to answer what John spoke about. Thanks for bringing that up. I've been wanting to talk about that for a while. I may come back and do that tomorrow on a long note. The reason I haven't is because it's local. And so not everybody will have the same interest in it, unfortunately. But definitely here in Houston, it's a buzz because it's that popular in Houston. But we definitely need to talk about this on a scale. So we'll do that as well. But once again, thanks. Don't forget to support what we're doing. The link is in the in the chat thread, and it's also in the description box of every video. Once again, thanks everybody. I appreciate you for stopping by. I am out of here.